a young conservative, and I believe strongly that the youth are going to hold the key to conservatism in the future. And when I look at the organizations out there, we look at the wide reach. College Republicans are going to be essential to electoral success and ideological success in the future. We need to be able to reach out to people that don't sound like us, don't look like us, and don't think like us. I'm extremely honored to introduce the head of the College Republicans, Alex Smith. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I'd first like to start off by thanking the not only dozens of college Republicans who packed up their cars this weekend to come to CPAC, but also to the American Conservative Union, who generously offered a number of different scholarships to help get them there. So thank you very much to the CRs and to ACU. I am truly honored to have been asked to speak before so many that have endeavored for so many years to advance our cause. In June, I had the privilege of being elected by my colleagues to serve as the national chairman of the oldest and largest youth vote organization in this country. In this capacity, I lead over 250,000 college Republicans on 1,800 campuses. When I was elected, I'd expected to find some opposition across the aisle, but I've been most recently surprised by challenges from within the movement. In particular, it gives me great pause to hear some within the movement talk about the youth vote kind of dismissively. So I wanted to start off by dispelling some of my favorite youth vote myths. Myth number one, Republicans actually gained ground in the 2012 election with younger voters. So this suggests a more positive trajectory for our party in future elections. While it's true that we managed to narrow the president's lead from the 2008 elections, the fact remains that if voting had started at age 30, Governor Romney would be president today. Simply not losing as badly as the last time is no excuse to write off an entire generation. Myth number two, high turnout was an anomaly precipitated by an Obama frenzy and will normalize in later years. The youth vote has actually grown 1 percentage point per presidential cycle for the past 4 presidential elections in a row. So from 16% in 2000 to 19% in 2012. So this consistent trend that started under President George W. Bush is hardly within the exclusive bragging rights of President Obama. Myth number three, younger voters, as they grow older, they'll get more conservative when they buy houses and become parents. Wrong. Voters in their 30s were the only age demographic to actually improve for the president in the 2012 elections. We also know that once someone votes for a major political party twice in presidential elections, he or she has likely bought into that party for life. A popular Democratic president has been now twice elected by young people. Now is not the time for our party to blink. And finally, for the biggest myth of them all, younger voters are liberal. No, they are not. In the CRNC's research report, which could be downloaded at crnc.org, Grand Old Party for a Brand New Generation, we found that younger voters actually agree with us on limiting the size and scope of government. They think that the government spends too much. They think that big entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare are broken and need to be fixed. They think that government does too much that would be better left off to the private sector. But most importantly, the very essence of our generation repulses a one-size-fits-all, top-down approach. No one has ever told millennials how to be consumers, communicators, or learners. This is a generation that has thrived upon a natural and organic engagement with the world around them. A government of the old industrial past simply does not fit with the innovators, entrepreneurs, and dreamers of today. So why then this disconnect? Why doesn't this embrace of conservative values translate to a support of our candidates? This happens when we become the party of no. Don't take my word for it. Allow me to quote from the ever-articulate Michael Medved recently in the Wall Street Journal. Too many Republicans, he writes, have cast themselves as classic villains in a heart-tugging melodrama of democratic design. Liberal Democrats play the do-gooders, trying to give something to the American people, while conservative Republicans look like the misers determined to take it away. To be clear, It's important to stand up and say no to intrusive and unsustainable liberal policies that will harm our country for generations to come. But as stewards of the conservative message, this cannot be all we have to offer to young Americans. Our ideas have lifted more people out of poverty and oppression throughout the ages to allow ourselves now to be only defined by talking about what we're against. We free ourselves from the shackles of the party of no when we offer our most authentically conservative selves as the alternative. Being authentically conservative, first and foremost, is believing that we are a party for everyone, that free market and liberty-minded ideas can be an indispensable force for good, no matter your circumstances or places in our society. It means believing in a government that as a means to a well-ordered society, rather than the solution to every social ill. It means that in making the choice between freedom and the public sector elite in the operation of our school, energy, healthcare, and education systems, we unequivocally choose freedom. It means recognizing the importance of embracing values locally, starting most basically with the governing of ourselves and our families. It means championing an equality of opportunity that encourages us to create our own abundance, rather than relying on the government of equal outcomes to redistribute scarcity. So my challenge to the millennial naysayers, those willing to write off an entire demographic based on fear or disdain, are you authentically conservative enough to share these values with the next generation? We've allowed the other side to define us so harmfully with younger voters for so long, so this might seem like a daunting task. But there has never been a time both where the stakes are so high and the opportunities so plentiful. This responsibility lies with all of us. If you're a part of the younger generation, this means going beyond your comfort zone and being willing to talk about our ideas with new faces and in new places. If they don't see the values that you espouse in Washington or elsewhere, ask them to believe in you as the guardian of what's next. Ask them to support candidates who do value the voice of the next generation. Or better yet, run for office yourselves. And if you're not a millennial sitting here today, I implore you to make your donations, volunteer your time, and support candidates with an eye towards who is authentically conservative enough to share our message with the next generation. The principles of liberty and freedom are ever fresh, ever new, and ever relevant. And there is an entire generation that is starved for an alternative. I am inspired by the hundreds of examples that I see every day as national chair of the College Republican of authentic conservatives. The college Republicans who put up their tables on campus knowing that they will be harassed, who hold meetings only to have liberal administrators block them from using school resources, or who bring guests to campus with the expectation of protest. They're putting in the hard work because they care about lifting an entire generation mired in debt and uncertainty up through conservative principles. Be authentically conservative enough to stand with them. Thank you.